What's the earliest you've delivered a child or you've cared for a child in your hospital?
I have helped care for a 27-weeker before.
Wow. And what are they like at 27 weeks?
Very resilient, despite being so tiny and their skin's still transparent, they're still fighters. Like, I remember being a student and I worked in the special care nursery for a little bit and did a rotation there, and I remember the grip of some of these little babies. Like, they were just so strong and they wanted to be alive. They kept fighting and
And the 27 weeker, what happened to that baby?
Ended up going to special care and actually did quite well. So despite being preterm, got APGARs of 9 and 9, just needed a little bit of assistance of breathing, which is to be expected at that age. But otherwise, I believe he did really well.
Okay.
Amazing. I think the odds at that stage are, I saw something this week, 96%.
Yeah,
From 28
weeks that they'll be discharged without medical conditions. So that is pretty amazing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. It does take a bit of extra time in the special care nursery, but they do end up thriving. So that's pretty cool. When you reached out to me, you mentioned to me that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you mentioned to me that there's a lot of late-term abortions, often of healthy babies.
Yeah.
And
Obviously you're not participating in them, but they're happening around you. I was just wondering if you could tell us about your experience of witnessing that.
Yes, there was a woman that came in, and I believe she was having a termination at 28 weeks, and I believe this was like the week after I helped deliver that 27-weeker. So it was just like, how is it that one day we're saving these babies' lives, and the other day, the next day we're condemning them to death? And it was just for mental health, which, it's important to look after mums, but it's important to look after babies as well. And she'd been counselled and everything, and still decided that no, she did not want to have this baby.
So with the 28-week-old baby, who's a week older than that baby that you delivered the week before who survived, the mother had gone in for the abortion, and I know under Queensland law you have to have 2 doctors sign off on it.
but
Is that just 2 doctors in the one hospital can just sign off?
is that right?
I believe so, just as long as they're 2 different doctors, yes.
So
It's not really that onerous a requirement, but did the medical staff around her try to persuade her out of abortion?
I believe she was counselled and given different options about adoption, and still was not keen on it, and wanted to go through with the termination despite going through like the grief process, like the regret that can come with having a late term abortion, because they still have to go through labour and they still birth a decent sized baby, so they still have to go through all of that. The only difference is the baby's already passed rather than coming out crying.
Yeah, can I ask you about that? So with the method for a late-term abortion, what does that look like when you're ending the life of a 28-week-old baby? What is happening?
So they now do feticides for any baby that's over 22 weeks. So it used to be a little bit of a hit and miss situation, but recently they've changed it to any babies over 22 weeks have to have the feticide.
And what is feticide?
So they go in to the fetal medicine and they do an ultrasound and inject a needle that goes through the amniotic sac into the baby's heart, and then they administrate
is it digoxin or
that's,
potassium chloride?
yes,
Digoxin,
yeah. And it basically burns and puts the baby into cardiac arrest. Or just the other day I was reading about like how for criminals who have the lethal injection, that it's potentially the same stuff that shuts down the heart, but in that case, they get put to sleep unconscious before that's even administered. So it's like, we treat rapists and serial killers better than we do an innocent baby. I was just like, how is that?
I've read that in American death row, it's digoxin, but they do get pain relief and they get put to sleep before.
Yeah.
They don't feel it because it is so painful. And yet feticide is injecting digoxin into a baby's heart, which is a burning sensation, no pain relief given prior, at a gestation that they can totally feel pain.
It just, I can't understand it. Like, how are they being treated better than these innocent babies? Like,
and what I don't understand is
how can you do the ultrasound? Like, that's an ultrasound guided injection. So you are, as a doctor, looking at this baby that's alive, might be sucking her thumb, might be wriggling. It's at a gestation that baby has been responding to the mother's voice, and yet the doctor goes in watching the ultrasound so they can find the heart, and then injecting the baby with this incredibly painful chemical. I just don't even understand how that can happen. But you're saying, so it happened for this baby at 28 weeks, and then how does the baby come out after that?
Just completely stillborn. So sometimes they won't induce the woman straight away. There might be like a couple of days before they do the inducing process. So sometimes the body's already starting to decay a little bit, depending on the time of birth. But otherwise, they come out basically like a baby that's died of stillbirth.
Give the mother a drug.
Yeah.
To induce labour.
Yeah.
Tablet, is it?
That's it. Yeah, like the misoprostol.
Misoprostol.
Yeah. Basically induces the cervix, and then they'll start up oxytocin in some cases if that's not enough. But it's basically just like going like in an induction at term, very similar. You know, they'll get the contractions, they can get pain relief, and they give birth to a baby.
So they go
through the process of labour. And deliver this baby, but the baby is stillborn because the baby has been killed by this injection of toxin prior. And is the baby usually whisked away, like the mother doesn't see the baby?
Yes. Yeah. I believe the majority of cases, the mother doesn't want anything to do. I know I did overhear they were talking about this other woman who was having a termination because she did not want any more children, just wanted one and done, and had gotten pregnant a few more times and had terminations. And she was asking for like the bereavement stuff, fingerprints and footprints, and it's like, you've literally just said you don't want any more children, you don't want this child, you are literally killing your child, and you want those souvenirs that we give to parents who have lost their babies and who are grieving. It's like, what is that? It's like a token or a reminder of the death that you've enabled. Like, even the midwives and the doctors that were talking about this just said that is wrong, that shouldn't be, you know. And even our consultant was like, no, it's, you know, if they got it out in the community, it would be in, out, none of this, you know.
So I had some midwives reach out to me from New South Wales last year who said exactly the same thing, that these social terminations, so terminations where the baby's healthy and the mum's physically healthy, but they're doing feticide, and mums are requesting, you know, the bereavement, the fingerprints, the footprints, even videos with their dead baby. And the midwives were saying how traumatic it was to be forced to do that. That they were speaking to me on the phone and crying because they just felt that it was just too much for them to go through. Do you see an emotional toll in the ward on the midwives and nurses?
Absolutely, especially like when you look at the majority of midwives are women ourselves, so most of them have children, or some of them are even pregnant themselves, or have had even miscarriages or losses. So to then see these women that are just getting rid of their babies and then asking, you know, for that you know, bereavement stuff, it's just it's almost just making like a joke or light of like the situation, like.
And I recognise these women who are asking for late abortions are probably pretty broken, and we're not trying to diminish the mental health anguish that they might be experiencing, but the reality at this stage is that after 23 weeks a baby is viable and you could induce these children alive. Like that 28-weeker, imagine a scenario where instead of the mother going in for the late term abortion, she just delivers that child alive. The child gets taken to the special care nursery and taken care of and then placed for adoption. In your mind, is that a better approach for the mother and the baby?
Absolutely. You know, the mother can then continue her life with what, you know, she considers best for her, and this baby gets a chance at having a beautiful long life and given to family that, you know, will love and care for them.
And in that situation of the 28-weeker, do you know what the midwife's reaction was when she delivered the child who was dead?
I don't believe I was there at the time, but I know the midwife who was actually witnessed the feticide, was working in fetal medicine, actually went to that baby after Bob had been born and gave him a kiss on the forehead and actually apologised and said, I'm sorry, because she said he was an absolutely perfect baby boy. There was absolutely nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, wow.
Just...
That's just so full on, yeah.
And there was even a couple of weeks ago, I was looking after someone in our assessment unit, and she was actually planning to have a termination, had only just changed her mind like a week or so ago. I believe they were students from another country, and then her partner wanted to, continue with the pregnancy, and so she decided. And I believe she was around 29, 30 weeks, so that would have even been a little bit later. And I had a quick read of the conversation that she had with the doctors, and at the time it was saying she felt that giving birth to a live baby and then seeing that baby and then having to give it up would be more emotionally difficult than delivering a dead baby, which I don't think these women realise how like the significance of having to actually birth a dead baby, and to think that giving that baby up to a healthy, nice family would be harder. I mean, they always say the right decisions are the hard ones to make, but yeah.
In my view, we just shouldn't allow killing viable, healthy babies. At that point, it's not a my body, my choice, because you've got to get the baby out somehow. Like, you can't keep that baby inside. The method of a late-term abortion is to kill the child through feticide and then deliver the child stillborn. And the whole my body, my choice argument just collapses.
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why don't we just deliver these children alive? And there should be that protection in the law.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that international student changed her mind. They are under a whole lot of pressure because often the insurance companies don't provide pregnancy care in the first year of that they're a student. So there's additional pressure on students. But this isn't the way, you just think if that student had gone through with the abortion at 29, 30 weeks, her life would have been irrevocably changed in a negative way.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you ever participated in a stillbirth, a natural stillbirth?
No, I haven't, not at this time. I've had friends that have.
Do you know what the experience is for the woman and the trauma that she goes through?
Absolutely horrible. I'm actually doing an assignment currently on a woman that's had a previous pregnancy loss, and even my own mother had a pregnancy loss. So I know that, and from listening to others and even caring for women who have had previous losses, they carry it with them and it never goes away. I had a cousin who she got to term and then the placenta abrupted, and so she lost her baby, and it's been over 10 years and she has not gotten over it. She still grieves him greatly, and she hasn't had any more children, and I think because it was so traumatizing that she just won't take that chance again. And because it's horrible.
It breaks you. I wonder, where is the follow-up of these women who are going through these late-term abortions and intentionally delivering stillborn? Where's the longitudinal data to say that they're okay? Because these aren't largely late-term abortions because the baby's not going to survive. These are social terminations where the baby's healthy and could have been induced alive. Are you seeing more of these?
Yeah, absolutely. The majority of the terminations we have at the hospital are social ones. While we do get some medical ones, we're getting more and more socials. When I first started, it was only a couple, and now it's basically become a weekly event. Like, we'll have them.
That's what I've heard.
I've heard from other midwives that it's like one a week or more than one a week even. What happens to the baby?
I believe they're taken down to the morgue, and then depending on, I suppose, what gestation, they get rid of them.
Yeah, okay.